We're going.
Hey, welcome back to Ask the Supervisor. Today is Wednesday, December 14th. I'm at Town Hall, of course, joined by East Hampton Town Supervisor Peter Van Scoyoc. Peter, how you doing?
Matt, I'm doing great. Nice to see you.
Yeah, it's always great coming to Town Hall. I love feeling fancy for an afternoon in these chairs. Last show was right before Thanksgiving. I don't remember exactly. This show is the last show of the year, and I'll mention more at the end of the show. But I do want to ask you, what is your favorite Christmas tradition
My favorite tradition
or holiday, Christmas, whatever you celebrate?
I don't know. I mean, I think it all kind of starts feeling like Christmas, and all the memories start coming back when we decorate the tree in the house at Christmas. So that brings back a lot of memories, and you go pulling out the ornaments, and we've got ornaments that the kids made when they were in kindergarten and whatever. And, so every year we kind of do a different theme. We have enough ornaments to decorate 4 giant trees.
Oh, probably. Easily.
We have these ancient glass hand blown ornaments that are back like great grandparents era.
Oh, wow.
Been in the family
That's
for a long
incredible.
time.
Yeah.
There's this very fragile glass snowman that we put on the tree. This year we're just going with the handmade ornaments.
Oh.
So it's a little different. So
fun. Little
wooden, handmade, hand painted. That's why I mentioned the children's ornaments that they made. Because, So yeah, that kind of kicks it off.
For me, now I know this is like really oddly specific. I live in the woods, like, down kind of, you got to go down a driveway to go. And my favorite part every single Christmas is roughly the 28th, 29th, is taking the tree out and bringing it. I call it the graves of all my old Christmas trees. So I bring it over one hill that you can't see it anymore. There's like 15 Christmas trees, skeletons of Christmas trees all lined up in the patch. And
so Christmas past.
Yep. And I literally, it's so funny. I pull the tree out the window straight in the backyard and just drag it. I
mean, I think the other favorite thing for me is we usually go to Christmas Eve service.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would see you there growing up.
Actually, I remember one year when your sister was an angel.
Yep.
And she'd been recruited. I don't think it was, with her consent that she was going to be an angel, and she was not happy. She was maybe 3 years old or something.
Oh,
very cute.
For those at home, I think my mom and your wife would do the Christmas pageant at St. Luke's with the kids every year.
A few years,
and we would go like every Wednesday after, at night we'd practice, and then I had to be baby Jesus 2 or 3 years in a row. And then I finally upgraded to be one of the kings.
Upgraded? What do you mean? That's not an upgrade.
Downgrade, upgrade. You
got to be a bigger
when
kid.
You're 5 years old and you still have to play baby Jesus.
You want to be a bigger kid, then yeah.
Now, second new this time of year question I have for you. Do you believe in New Year's resolutions, and have you ever followed through with one?
I have, actually.
Okay. Well, if you could tell.
So I obviously must believe in them. But, I think New Year's is a time when we all think about, what we'd like to change, either in our lives or in the world around us. And, so we become resolute about that. The idea of dieting or something like that. I mean, most of the time people,
it's a lot of pressure.
They don't really stick with it. And it's kind of, you have to, I don't know. I think it's just more than making a resolution after you've imbibed at some party. Well, sure, I'm going to do something different. It takes a little bit more to be more resolute about that.
It's an interesting topic because it's controversial. Some people love them, do them every year. And some people, like to your point, it's like, oh, they say they're going to do it, and then by January 3rd.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like on New Year's Eve. I don't think about what I'm going to change. It's usually before that.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, let's get into some fun stuff here. I wanted to start off with kind of a cooler story today. The Cedar Street the long dormant agricultural tract on Cedar Street, that is a tongue twister, has been awarded a 5-year lease to the Cedar Lee Farm. I don't know if obviously they weren't awarded it just because they had cedar in the name, but I'm trying to clarify that those are two separate things. Run by Isabel Milligan and Nicholas Collins, to use 2 town-owned lots that include a 1-bedroom house and multiple farm outbuildings. The plot is broken into 2 parcels totaling more than 17 acres. One of them is a 12.3 acre farm that compromises multiple addresses along Cedar Street. And then another is a 5-acre agricultural reserve. They're going to farm year round and would grow vegetables, herbs, flowers, perennials, storage crops, along with some specialty crops, ginger and turmeric. Really, I wanted to talk about this 2 ways. Can you explain the thought process from the town purchasing the property to the farmers bidding for the property? And then they're going to live there too as well. It's a $35,000 for a year for the lease. But then secondly, I really wanted you to talk about the importance of sustaining farming out in the East End. I think that's more important than that.
I mean, that's really part of the rationale on the first question. The town has long touted support for retaining farming as a viable, commercial activity within the township. It's part of our master plan. So, the CPF originated out of trying to purchase farmland. Initially, it was for farmland and open space, and it's broadened somewhat over time and to include historical structures and whatnot. But we've been very active in trying to protect farmland. We had I think it's the largest single purchase of farmland property last year.
Wow.
With the 32 plus acres, so 33 acres, I guess, in Amagansett, north of the historic district. Those farm fields will be available for farming in perpetuity. And this parcel on Cedar Street, honestly, I drive by it almost every day, going to work, and looked across that open space and thought, it's not being farmed, has a really quaint little house on it. And thinking, someday that's going to get sold and you're going to find, several very, very large houses on this. And
easily,
we're losing the character of East Hampton all the time in various ways. There's pressures. And we did an outreach to the owners, and they ultimately agreed to sell the parcel. The parcels is actually a number of parcels all together. With the idea that we would be able to return it to farming again. These particular fields had laid fallow since the late 1960s, I think, early 70s. So we have a very vibrant farm community here. Yeah. There are a lot of young farmers who have, interned at Quail Hill. They've got leases on some other farmland. And obviously this is a finite resource. So the idea that we could preserve it in perpetuity and then make it available for farmers. So we put a bidding process together, and the couple that you mentioned that will be awarded the bid, were they had the winning bid. So, we're excited to see, this opportunity come to fruition. And, it's very much in line with our goals of preserving the character. There's so many benefits to our local farms. They make our communities more resilient and sustainable. They bring us really great high quality food. It reduces transportation costs when you are able to grow locally, and the impacts of transporting in terms of environmentally with, lower emissions if you don't have to ship things cross country. There are a lot of benefits to it. So we're looking to duplicate this model. There are a couple other properties that we already have leases on. I know Amber Waves, Balsam Farm, they've all been active in farming here locally and are using town land.
Now, obviously not on the national scale, but on a local level in areas like ours. I mean, even if we just look at Long Island has an extensive history of not only farming, but our area specifically whaling. If you really want to go back, um, is this the future of small town farming via in perpetuity with the town? Is that something that almost seems easier?
It probably is in our small town, and that's because the value of real estate is so astronomically high.
Yeah, that's what I
figured. That unless the property's already got the development rights purchased, there are very few opportunities for any kind of farmer to buy farmland here if it could be developed for housing. It just astronomical costs. I think one of the lots over in Wainscott from recent subdivision in what was farm field just sold for $9.5 million just for the vacant lot. And I don't think it's more than about 2 or 3 acres.
That's a lot of money for a
councilman lease out there in the.
Come on in. Oh, you never. Yeah. No, he wants no part. He's had enough. I think he's had enough public light. Yeah. For the week. Let's jump into some of what was talked about in last Tuesday the 8th work session. I know you went over so much when it came to housing accessory dwellings and code changes specifically. Can you explain the important ones, the bigger ones in your mind that were talked about, given how long that meeting was?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. Or
just the rationale.
It's hard to separate out any one aspect as being more important than the other, because I think the only way that we really make inroads into solving this problem is that we have that really broad approach to address the housing crisis at every opportunity. Mm-hmm. And a lot of our discussion was about accessory apartments, whether attached apartments or detached apartments. They're currently both allowed under the code. There have been, some have been taken advantage of, but there are, still a number of units that could be developed within the school districts, within the hamlets. Mm-hmm. Haven't reached the cap.
Yep, the cap's 26.
Cap's 20 per hamlet right now, and this was originally done as a pilot to see how it would go. And there are a number of impediments and obstacles and disincentives, if you will, to doing it. We want to encourage that, so we want to find ways to break down those barriers. Some of it has to do with economics, mm-hmm. the cost of creating an affordable apartment, and then being limited as to what you can charge for rent. Mm-hmm. Means that the payback period on the capital expenses is a longer one. And we find that most of the situations where people have taken advantage of this, it's usually for family members, whether they be grown children who are looking for a place to live, or maybe a parent, grandparent, or whatever. So we want to, make this easier to actually apply for and construct. We want to make it something that makes sense in terms of, setbacks and all that sort of thing, so that we're not creating problems in neighborhoods. But I really feel pretty strongly that we're not going to be able to build our way out of this problem by only constructing new affordable apartments or houses. That we need to find ways to deal with this housing shortage within the existing built community, and accessory apartments is one way of doing that. Obviously, the housing fund referendum passed. So proud of our community that came out. 69% of the folks voted favorably for that. We'll be setting up that fund in the new year, be able to start again, going into the community with shared equity, helping people to buy and afford homes within the existing built community, in addition to also building new projects.
Now, I know a lot of people in the community, there's a lot of misconception, so to speak. Um, but I think I read somewhere that one of the properties that was a part of this pilot program got kicked out of the program because they were Airbnb-ing it and such, or
Yeah,
Verbo, whatever it may
I
be.
think there's always somebody who likes to, step outside of the purpose of the rules.
How does
The town found out about it, and
yeah, how do you protect against that from someone doing something just for lucrative
well,
means?
there are, inspection requirements, and again, we do seek out properties that are out of compliance.
Yeah.
They're advertising, they don't have a rental registry permit. There are a lot of different ways we can find out about it. The neighbors, are complaining
Well,
about it.
speaking,
and the fines can be significant. And so, I mean, the vast majority of people do not abuse this, particularly the affordable housing. I mean, there are many more, I think, violations coming from regular market rentals than there are from affordable units that have been built.
Well, speaking of rental, that's kind of a nice segue for a shorter topic. The town board has doubled the rental registration fees, both for the initial registration and the renewal, from $100 to $200. The 100 was set in 2016, I believe, and now 2022, it's getting doubled. 6 years later, seems pretty fair.
It's a very modest increase, given it's a 2-year permit. And
what are some of the issues with rentals, though? As I often hear people complaining of illegal renting practices. It's almost impossible for the town to stop that from Montauk to
there's
Waynescott.
a short-term rental law. You can't legally rent your house for less than 2 weeks, more than twice in a 6-month period.
Okay.
So you can do it. You could rent it for a weekend or a week, whatever. You just can't do it more than twice within a 6-month period, and that's to discourage or prevent the use of rental houses as high turnover properties, because that degrades neighborhoods, causes all sorts of other issues, and
what can one do if they notice someone on their street has had
contact ordinance enforcement. We actively pursue and prosecute violations.
Because I hear that complaint all summer long. That's one of the most common complaints I'll hear from friends and family.
It's about houses being rented out
more than
short term, or
it's usually in the summer, and usually
you can rent your house for the summer. You just
but you can't do it with 6 different families over a 2-week period.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it's interesting. A lot of this stuff, you hear it in town, and I like learning about the specifics of it. Let's get into I lost my page here. Let's get into the special event. No, I wouldn't say issues. I would just say clarification, fixing up some things with the special events.
We had a season end report, a recap of special events. Again, if you have a gathering of more than 50 in a residential property, you need to apply for a permit. And that process is one that is interactive and addresses concerns about parking, making sure you have adequate parking accounted for, and other such things, making sure people understand if you're going to have live music or amplified music, the hours that you can have that. Again, it has to be in compliance with the decibel levels, and it's to just let the town know what's going on there, and make sure that those kind of concerns are addressed. So we also do allow for events on public property as well. And one of the areas that has gotten a lot more attention and scrutiny is the use of our town beaches for events.
Yep.
And so we had, I think it was 72 events last year on public properties. 98% of those were 50 people or less.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
On public property. So they weren't necessarily huge. But the frequency of them is something that we have raised concerns about. So there's going to be a little more in-depth review to see, what beach ends, what beach locations were used, how many nights in a row, how many people, how many events, occurred at those. And, we may put a cap on that or curtail some of that activity, because at a certain point, it gets to be somewhat of a nuisance to regular folks who want to just go down to the beach. The event is right close to the parking lot, and then you have to go past all of that to get down to a portion of the beach where you might want to sit quietly and just enjoy the waves.
And one of the conversations that were had was potentially raising the fines for when they break the rules. What are more common issues with special events that people are breaking?
I think the things that we haven't really had, I don't think, too many issues with those who have gotten the permits.
I see.
It's people who don't get the permits.
And they just do it.
Just do it. And, we had a situation last year where somebody took a residential home and they basically had a major commercial brand come in for the weekend for merchandising. And, that's not something
you can't do that.
We can allow.
It is funny that just overall growing up out here, it is funny how many people don't understand there are rules out here and there is a town government, and like they think you could just come in and do anything. And you see that sometimes. Sometimes no one will know anything, and then all of a sudden a bus will come.
That's not that uncommon, particularly with resort areas, people where you have a large number of people from, out of town coming. And we do our best to try and educate people. Most of the beach ends have, a list of basic rules and regs, how what you have to do with beach fires and et cetera, dogs, that sort of thing, vehicles.
Yeah.
But that's always going to be a challenge with any municipality, is just informing the public of the community standards and rules and compliance.
We only have a few more minutes here. I want to end the show letting everyone know that this will be my last Ask the Supervisor. I've taken a new job. I will be in the podcast industry now. I'll still be in the area, still be paying attention to all the doings of the town board and local governments. But I did want to thank you for having me be a part of your show with you, and all the work I've done with the town board and the meetings and just in general. And then I also wanted to allow you the opportunity, since I've been asking you questions for a little over a year and a half now. Here's your opportunity to ask me anything.
First of all, let me just say it's been a pleasure doing the show with you, and every week bringing, important issues and information to the public. That's been great. I thought you did a great job with that housing forum you did at LTV.
Thank you for attending.
And, I think you have a bright future in this sort of business. And, I know you've been there helping on the technical side when we broadcast our town board meetings, et cetera. So thanks for all you've done at LTV
thank you.
And for the town, for town government, and just helping to inform the public. And questions for you.
This is your chance.
Wow, I don't know. And you went to Penn State?
Yep. David Leaf.
You and David Leaf, I know, have that in common, and talk about Penn State a lot. And what was your degree in?
Broadcast journalism with the
surprised
minor in digital media trends and analytics.
I'm so surprised. Not really. Not really. And so now you're moving on to podcasting. Are you going to have your own podcast at some point?
I think.
Are you working on the technical side?
I think down the line I will. I'm working for a company called Blue Wire Podcasts, and I'll be digital coordinator for them, doing half social media, half content stuff. But I think one day I want to start up a podcast again.
Yeah. I thought you showed some real promise when you did that forum and you were out in front of the public on stage.
Yeah. No, it's fun. I love doing that stuff.
Yeah. So maybe you have a career on stage at some point too.
Everybody jokes one day I may come back here and run for something at some point. Right.
Run for supervisor.
Yeah. I'll wait till your terms are way over with before I run a competition here. But yeah, Peter, no, it was great. And hopefully we'll still be able to keep ATS going. We got to figure out those details. But
absolutely. I just want to say one more thing before we sign off. This past weekend, I don't know if everybody knows, but Santa Claus came to Montauk with his reindeer.
He did.
Yeah, and I got to meet some reindeer.
Was it?
They are mad. They truly are magical.
Were they
animals. Big? One of them was quite large. It was very, very large antlers.
Were you get a little nervous?
And well, I was. I went to talk to Santa about it, and he said that, oh no, they're very docile. And you can pet them, and and they were incredibly docile.
Wow.
Very friendly, very comfortable around people.
That's awesome.
I didn't see them fly. I think they were resting.
They only fly at night.
Is that right? I didn't know that.
I thought that they had to wait.
Well, that makes complete sense then, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because they arrived, they were just there first thing.
They got to rest their legs during the day, and then at night, that's when they fly.
Okay.
Yeah. But thank you so much for everything. And John and Matt Chapman and Jody in the control room, thank you guys as well. I hope everyone has a good rest of their week.
Stay safe and be well, everyone.